of achieved during the project life cycle and to have a discussion with key stakeholders and friends we met during the project activities. We will just wait still another minute for other participants to join us. In the meanwhile, I would ask all participants to mute their microphones if they are not speaking, otherwise we will be full of background noises.
Io ripeto, te la faccio spiegare meglio da loro così.
Or maybe, thank you Solen. Oh.
Ciao.
Buongiorno Giovanni. So hello to you all. Hello. And even if we know we will have someone else joining us in coming minutes, let's start as we have a very dense agenda and we need to close at least around 1 o'clock. So about the agenda and the key topics of our discussion today. We are starting now with two presentations on telling a bit the history and the path of the tourist project and
you are mute, Francesco.
We cannot hear you.
Someone muted me. I'm sorry. So we will start now with the two presentations about the path of the tourist project, and then from our project officer Alan Vella in SME about the financial support that the agency provides for SMEs on sustainable tourism. We will move on with I presented two presentations on project key deliverables from University Sant'Anna on the perceptions of tourism SMEs on sustainability and on the tourism compendium of best practices. We will hear from Beatrice from Consulta Europa about which were the key outcomes of the tourism support schemes in the last years. We will then move on with roundtable of discussions. We really wanted to hear directly the voice of the key stakeholders that were engaged through the projects. So we will talk with local authorities, business network, and SMEs. We will listen from their voice, which was the key impact of the tourism project and how they intend to move on now that the project is moving towards its end. Last session will be about our sister projects. We will hear more from representative of EU Ecotandem, Sustur, and EU Emotour. They are three projects financed but funded by the COSME program, and they all look at fostering sustainability of SMEs in Europe in tourism. They are complementary perspective, and it will be pretty much interesting also for tourism participating SMEs to look at the tools they propose and if they can benefit from them. So let's move to the first presentation. So Michelle, I know you're here. You were here a few minutes ago. Let me know if you want to share your screen or if I can move on with the slides I have.
You can go on with your slides, Francesco. Thank you very much. So good morning, everybody. Welcome to this final conference of our tourism project. My name is Michelle Perello. I'm CEO of Consulta Europa, which is the organization coordinating this project. Next slide, please. So I will briefly introduce you to the project, even if I'm pretty sure that most of you know it very well already. So our tourism project has as key objective to put in place supporting schemes for SMEs in the tourism sector. And this support scheme was transnational and cross-sectorial. So we were targeting SME from different sub-sector of the tourism activity. And we were supporting them to put in place sustainable practices and in particular environmental certification schemes. The project has lasted almost 3 years, and we counted with a wonderful consortium of 8 organizations from Spain, Belgium, Italy, France, and Cyprus. Next slide, please. And we put in place different type of activities. Actually, we start trying to understand how sustainable practices are actually implemented in companies, in SMEs, how they work, and try to reap from the existing practices good experiences that we could support with our schemes. Then we have put in place these calls for SMEs to learn, to be trained, and to exchange experiences also with their peers about sustainability in the tourism sector. And then we have implemented this call for proposal. We managed to support more than 60 SMEs. So these were the activities. Next slide, please. But what I would like to somehow share with you is that tourism has been not only a project, but it's been a journey, a sustainable journey, I would say, in which we had different experiences. We have surprises, as in all the journeys, the trips, we had to deviate our path sometimes, but we have met many people, and differently from other projects where you usually exchange only with the consortium, with the partners of your project. In this case, we had the opportunity really to engage many more people through our SMEs. And of course, this has been an enriching experience for them because they have had the opportunity to learn from each other, to exchange. We know that really good relationships have been established among the SMEs. So today is for us the arrival day of our journey. So we got to the final conference, but it is not the end of the journey, of course. We know that our company are willing to continue collaborate. We know we are willing to continue collaborate. So I'm really glad that you are here today for this part of the journey. And I'd like to close with the citation from the Spanish poet Antonio Machado, so that there is no path, you make the path as you go. And this is what we are still doing with tourism, and we want to do with the collaboration of the SMEs and possibly of other organizations that are willing to join our journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Michelle. That was truly inspirational. And not only, I'm very happy you started setting a good base of discussion using the journey metaphor, which came up not only for what we as partners did through this project, but also it came up from SMEs and other partners we worked on as really sustainability as a journey, not as results or key performance indicators. But we will discuss this more later on with the roundtable, the following panels. I'm not sure I can see the list of participants if Alan already joined us, or maybe we can move on with to.
I'm here, Francesco.
Hello. Thank you for joining us. So I'm not sure if you want to show directly your slide for your screen. I didn't have time to upload them.
I don't have slides actually.
Good.
It's probably better to get.
Probably even better. So, thank you very much, and the floor is yours.
Thanks, Francesco. Thank you to the organizers for this invitation. Thank you, Michelle, also, and Beatrice, of course. I'm delighted to be with you here, and I'm delighted also because today is a really nice day here in Brussels. I'm not sure at your end of the world, in Europe, basically, but here in Brussels, it's a lovely day. And I'd like to start off, actually, this is a really nice springtime, summertime day. I'm hearing echoes in the background, so if you could mute yourselves, whoever that is.
Yes, please, Solette, I don't know if you can mute. Thank you.
Yeah, so I was saying it's a nice spring/summer day, and I'd like to start off with a thought from this context, basically, because in spring you get seeds, and then you get flowers, and then you get fruit, basically. And I'm seeing this this call, especially this project, in terms of seeds having been the starting point of sustainability, flowers having had the initial results of sustainable measures and fruits thereafter, the advanced stage of implementation. And that's where we are with this particular project. It's not the end, as Michelle rightly said, because Turismo was geared towards scaling up SME activities, towards supporting the uptake of innovative solutions, and towards certification also, besides the financial support for third parties, of course. And all these particular activities, in some way or another, will effectively continue. And it's important that they continue, because what has been achieved so far, and there are quite a few achievements with the peer learning side, the opportunities given to the SMEs, the proactive group dynamics, for instance, the creation of the synergies, business connections, the good practices, the study visits, and of course, providing more in-depth knowledge to the SMEs themselves. All these were tackled by the consortium led by Consulta, and they have succeeded quite well in achieving the results. So quite happy from that point of view. The 62 targeted SMEs, I hope they are happy themselves also, but I'm also happy from my side for another element, because certification has been tackled and looked into, because certification was not compulsory, but out of 62 SMEs, 26 have moved towards certification, and the certification is actually quite varied also. This is something I noticed. It's varied because we've had the SMEs looking into Green Key certification, which is hotel related certification, the travel agents looking at the travel life, which is incidentally one of the projects which, one of my other projects, which will be featured also in today's conference towards the end of this morning, but also others linking, for instance, biodiversity to tourism, others such as biosphere, for instance, aligned to the 2030 agenda and the promotion of sustainability actions, for instance. I noticed ISO 14001 projects, for instance, where the criteria for an environmental management system have been looked into. But also, and I'm finishing off with this part with this, of course, the eco-label, which is basically the EU flower, the iconic EU flower, which showcases true green product. So as you can see, quite a large gamma of certification looked into. The call, of course, allowed this. It's not focusing on one particular key area. For instance, Travel Life focuses on travel agents, and the other project, Sustur, I don't want to anticipate, but Sustur did effectively focus on travel agents stroke tour operators. But here we have a wide gamma of SMEs interested in different areas, particularly in the three core markets which have been featured in this project, which are Italy, Spain, and France. So, of course, we're towards the end here, and towards the end means, of course, having to highlight at this point in time that I think all this was possible via the commissions, via ASMEAs. I'm representing ASMEA, the executive agency here, yearly calls for proposals, because Turismo Consortium, they have asked for financing via what we call the 2019 call, and they have received their financing accordingly. And well, our aim, and this is something directly linked to today's conference, our aim is to assist the consortium, of course, but particularly the SMEs by facilitating their digital uptakes. They're becoming greener, more competitive, more resilient, depending on the actual call. And here, in this particular field, we were looking at sustainability per se, in particular, and that is why you have seen these certification programs being taken on board by a good portion of the SMEs, all related to sustainability. So in short, what in Brussels we call the twin transition, well, we were supporting and we still are supporting the twin transition of tourism SMEs, but not only SMEs, because we're looking also at other stakeholders, especially those forming part of the different consortia. You will see in this consortium also, for instance, that there were public authorities involved, or development agencies, not only SMEs or consultancy companies. So the twin transition is looking towards sustainability, of course, and digitalization. And such initiatives are also very central to this theme, of course, because in ESMA's recent calls for proposals, we've always dedicated a conspicuous amount to tourism SMEs via direct financial support. So these grants are usually in the region of 10,000 euros. In this case, they were maximum 10,000 euros. So each of the 62 SMEs were entitled to a maximum of 10,000 each, for a total of 600,000. So of course some received less, but what is more important than that is that they have looked into facilitating this green uptake, this sustainability uptake through the various achievements which I've highlighted before, in terms of matchmaking activities, in terms of the events, in terms of the trainings organized, etc., which we've had during the past months of this co-financing period, which was managed by Turisme, by the consortium Turisme. So the trust, and this is the main message I'd like to open up for you also, the trust of each and every tourism call varies every year. As I said, in 2019, it was geared towards sustainability. Then we had another one in 2020 relating to the boosting up the uptake of digitalization and new technologies. For instance, in 2021, we looked at targeting COVID-19 recovery through sustainable tourism growth and SME support, whilst in 2022, we focused on empowering SMEs to carry out the twin transition. And overall, for these four particular calls, we had, of course, different projects. Some of them are the ones which you will be listening to later on this morning. But what I wanted to highlight is that the overall budget of these four particular calls was in the region of 47.5 million euros. Now, that's not bad in terms of financing specifically through tourism calls, because as I often say, tourism is a very horizontal issue, and of course you can get financing in tourism also via other programs, not only COSME, which is through this particular call. So it's not unheard of that you get projects financed via Horizon, via LIFE, via Erasmus, whatever the case. So the possibilities, the opportunities are there for one and all to benefit from. But in total, there were 31 projects co-financed through these calls, and at least 3,000 SMEs have benefited or are about to receive a grant via such projects. So in our small nutshell, in our small niche, we are trying to help SMEs, over 3,000 from all parts of Europe. In Turisme's case, they were focused on 3 particular countries, but of course we've financed SMEs across all Europe, and this is something I believe positive, something which the SMEs themselves have benefited from and which have appreciated also. And of course there will be some testimonies also within this particular conference. I know my time is limited, but I wanted to be here. Very sorry, I'll have to leave because I have another meeting starting at 11, but I hope to be able to rejoin towards the end. because I'd really like to thank all of you for being here, the consortium, I mean, for all other participants. Stay tuned, because I hope you will find today's conference as interesting as I found Tourism's reports myself, because I know, of course, the results myself. I've been through these with Beatrice and with Michelle. So I hope this conference will be of interest to you, just as it was to me, the results achieved via these last months. So thank you once again, Francesco. Grazie mille per l'invito.
Thank you very much, Alan.
In Italian there. And thank you for all for being with us today. Thanks.
Thank you very much. It was very relevant to listen to figures, because they testify an impressive effort, thematic effort by the agency. In 30 seconds, just a slogan. Tourism, as you mentioned, it was one of the first in chronological order project of this kind funded. Is there any lesson learned from the tourism project that helped articulation of follow-up calls?
Well, first of all, I pretty much liked Michelle's phrase, you know, the sustainable journey thing, because the sustainable journey, that is something which I agree with. It's not the end, it's the end of the co-financing period, but the notion of continuity is there. And well, Michelle knows, Beatrice knows, I place a lot of emphasis on this, so I will be pressing them very hard to be clear in what type of continuation activities they will be looking at in the future. I liked this particular element of the certification, Francesco. That was quite good. Of course, it was not compulsory, this part, but having said that, quite a good amount of SMEs. We're talking, I did not make the calculation, but if it's 26 out of 62, it must be in the region of, I don't know, 40% more or less. So that is quite good. And it shows that the SMEs themselves were interested in the process, and at the end of the process, of course, realized that it's to their benefit to look into additional certification. What struck me also is the wide variety, as I mentioned this. That's why I was mentioning, because it's looking into different certifications. It's looking into also the EU Eco-Label, which has been taken up also, but not only. So there are elements looking at the qualitative side. There are elements looking at the link between the biosphere and tourism. There are others focusing, strictly speaking, on environmental matters. There are others like the Green Key focusing on accommodation, tourist accommodation. So yes, that is something which we've appreciated very much, as the group dynamics, which seemed quite good. Your group dynamics as a group, Francesco, I think you functioned quite well from that point of view. Of course, there were some hiccups here and there, but in this context, I think I'll stop with this positive note, basically looking brightly to the future continuation, to the sustainable journey which Michelle has committed to. Voila.
Thank you very much for your time. We know you have to run to another meeting, and thank you for highlighting only the positive aspect of tourism legacy. So we will be very happy if you can join us later on, and thank you already for your time, Alan.
Thanks, Francesco, and thank you everyone for being with us this morning. Thanks.
So quickly moving to the next session of our agenda. So now we will focus on the key deliverables of the tourist project. Just to give you an idea of what the first phase of the work of the project was on, we will start with Tiberio. Tiberio, can you hear us?
Yes, Francesco, I can hear you.
Tiberio Daddi, Associate Professor at Sant'Anna School of Advanced Studies, who took care of the study and the scientific articles on perception of tourism SMEs on sustainability and on drafting the tourism compendium of best practice. Tiberio, up to you. Tell me if you want to share your screen or...
Yeah, I will proceed sharing my screen. So, good morning to everyone. Thank you to be here also from my side. As Francesco was saying, the aim of my presentation is to present briefly in these 10 minutes two of the key results that we have achieved, especially in the first months of the project. The first, we will see the results of a survey that we have carried out with tourism company. It was aimed to understand what are the expected benefits, what are the drivers, what are the barriers linked with environmental sustainability topics. And this has been very useful, not only to produce some deliverable that has been mentioned by Francesco, like a scientific article, or to be used in dissemination events, but also to better understand the way of thinking of the tourism small and medium enterprise, and so to fine-tune the rest of the activities that has followed this initial survey. Then I will close my presentation presenting you briefly what we have done in the field of the best practice and how the companies that today are connected can consult this best practice. In the first month of June, in the first months of the year 2021, we have carried out this survey. As you can see, the sample was not so high, but quite distributed from a geographical point of view. And as you can see in the left chart, the focus, like the focus of the whole project, was not only to hotels and accommodation, but was focused also on travel agency, tour operator, other kind of accommodation. And so these were part of our survey. Regarding the kind and the size of companies, as you can see, 90% of the respondents to this survey were less than 25 employees. So they were very small or micro companies that probably the most of the company that today are connected to this event. One of the first topic that we try to understand and try to analyze, and is a topic that has been also mentioned by Alan in the speech of before, when he spoke about ISO 40001 and the eco-label, was the environmental certification. Environmental certification were one of the target of the project. So we started trying to understand what was the level of adoption in our sample of the environmental certification. As you can see here, the environmental certification were not so spread. Almost 80% of the sample has no certification. And then we try to understand why it was not so spread, if it was an issue of knowledge, or on the contrary, it was an issue of market. And according to the question that you see here below, also the sample answer us that customer or partners or supplier don't ask this kind of certification. So we ask again to the sample if they have the intention to adopt in the future this kind of certification schemes, and again also including in this question a long list of certification, not only eco-label, ISO 40001 or EMAS as mentioned by Alan, but also local certification. You can see how the red color are particularly large. So I would say that regarding the environmental certification, there is an issue that, according to our survey, the market, the tourism companies don't look very much to this kind of tools as tool to adopt green behavior. Then we did some more general questions. For example, we asked regarding the awareness and the sensitiveness and the knowledge regarding circular economy or other environmental sustainability issue. From these slides, we can appreciate how in the first line, the companies declare that circular economy and the concept of sustainability are very well known by them. Or from it's interesting also to observe that from the second row or the fourth row, they feel the environmental sustainability as something that is beneficial for the society, or as you can see in the fourth row, as a moral satisfaction, the adoption of circular economy. So it's clear in these companies a sort of driver focus and link on the ethical aspects on adopting circular economy and environmental sustainability initiative. Then we ask why you would decide, or you have already decided to adopt green or circular economy practice. And is quite surprising to see that at the top of the list, here there was a possibility to answer from 1 to 5, where 5 was the strongly agree answer, both to improve our environmental performance and to improve the quality of our service are both, let's say, internal driver, are not external driver. Only reputation and request from customers arrive at the third and fourth position. So in somehow we can say that companies feel internal benefit adopting circular economy practice, not yet particularly high the increase of reputation of customer, because they are not in the first 2 positions. And so in somehow for the European Commission, let's say, recommendation could be taken into account that in this market, it seems that the awareness of tourists regarding to recognize to the hotels and to the tourism operators the commitment and the engagement with green practice could be somehow improved. Then we ask regarding barriers. So for the ones that are not adopting or that have already adopted the green practice, what were the key barriers felt? And here we identify like the funds, and so the lack of financial support or the lack of information about potential partners, where potential partners are consultants, academics, or other kind of stakeholders that can support the path toward a more green adoption of practice. Then we have tried also to understand what kind of practice have widely more adopted by the sample that we interview. And here, when you find the arrow, you can see 3 of the most selected practice, and we can see how these 3 practices are referred to the whole aspect, that is the energy consumption. So in somehow clearly the sample is answering, I'm starting from the green practice that in somehow give me back also an economic return through cost savings, thanks to this kind of practice, thanks to this kind of equipment that I adopt in my company. And this can be in somehow, if probably we repeat now this sample, take into account the economic crisis and what has happened, as we know, with the Russian and Ukraine war, probably this is already, it will be in somehow increase, because this survey has been carried out in 2021, so before the starting of the war. Then we have asked what were the key benefits and the key outputs as achieved by the adoption of green practice, and the sample has answered to the fact that it has achieved the improvement of the quality of the service, they have reduced their environmental impact, or in somehow they have also improved reputation towards a certain group and kind of customer and supplier. So again, as in the previous slide, internal benefit and sometimes also external benefit. This was an overview briefly of the survey. And so, as I said, we have used this kind of data information in the following task and activity of the project, and also in the identification of the best practice that was another deliverable of the project. How we have worked regarding the identification of the best practice, the key method that we use is desk research. So this compendium of best practice has been something that has aimed to collect all the different studies that were already carried out in the field of sustainable tourism in order to systemize them. And then after this wide collection of technical reports, scientific articles, or case studies that have been published regarding best practice, we have arranged this best practice according to these different topics: energy saving, water saving, waste management, and so on. The second step, we have proceeded for assessing this practice. So at the end, we have collected more than 100 of practice that probably are good practice, and only some of them are best practice to identify or to understand what are, in our opinion, the best among these good practice. We have included in the deliverable that we have drafted, here you can see on the right, a scheme where we have listed according to some criteria like environmental benefit, economic feasibility, social benefit, and replication feasibility, a sort of ranking, a sort of classification where the practice with the highest overall score according to the project partner were the most promising in terms of sustainability, in terms of achievement of green and economic and social benefits. Then again, this 106 practices have been categorized and listed according to the different topics that we have seen before. 26 were referred to energy consumption, and the other numbers that you can see here were referred to the other topics. And we have summarized this practice in a report, in a deliverable that you can freely download from our website, that has been called Compendium of Best Practice. So you have a comprehensive description of all these 106 practice that we have identified and assessed. But take into account that, okay, probably to consult or to read the report can be easy, because however, this report is more than 200 pages, so in somehow is not easy to consult. We have also thought to draft a sort of interactive system on our website where you can consult in a more accessible and easy way this practice. And so also thank to the work of one of the partners, the Institute of Paris Region, and Maxime and colleague. In the website, you can see this kind of figure, and then you can skip on according to these arrows, where for the different target, in this case travel agency, or in this case hotels and similar accommodation, you have different, let's say, area, where for each area the good practice are resumed. So the good practice in reception, the good practice in the restaurant, and clicking on this, let's say, figure, you can open, for example, here, the description of the best practice, and according to this easy consultation way, you can find a template where you find more detail regarding the practice. So you find a description. In this case, the good practice is to favor the doggy bag, and you find a step to follow to implement this practice. You find some consideration and suggestion regarding the stakeholder to involve, some economic aspects, and also the sources from where the literature review or from where the technical studies that we have verified have been collected this kind of information. Similarly, also for the other area, like for example, kitchen, where here you have the installation of in-house filtered water bottling system to reduce the plastic derived from the bottle. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tiberio. Pretty clear, and it gave the idea of the long work behind that this level of synthesis. We have already a question in the chat. I would suggest to move on to Beatrice's presentation and to collect together all the questions on the key tourism deliverables. So, Beatrice, let me know if you want to share your screen, or I'll share mine.
You can share yours. It's okay. I will be brief so we can save some time for the roundtable. So, meanwhile, I'm Beatrice Vagnina, and together with my colleague Michelle, who presented before, I'm from Consulta Europa. So we have been the two people involved in the coordination of the tourism project from Consulta Europa. And today, I will just present to you an overview of what have been the main outcomes and the activities that we have implemented on what we call tourism support schemes. Basically, the support schemes mean different types of activities that we have, our project, also according to the call for proposal from the European Commission, developed in order to support tourism SMEs. The support schemes from our project were mainly three that you see here. So one first set of activities related to training, so national training sessions, face-to-face or hybrid, that have been organized in each of the 4 countries of our project: Italy, Spain, France, and Cyprus. The second set of activities have been the promotion of matchmaking events, so international events where all SMEs from all the countries could meet and promote networking and business connections. And the third support scheme, which was optional, as Alan already said, was related to environmental certification, so access or maintenance and expansion of environmental certification schemes. Next. Associated to the support schemes, of course, we have given SMEs financing, and how we did this? Well, through what we call the vouchers. So there was a financing, let's say, voucher for each of the activity, each of the 3 support schemes, and you can see here for training, for instance, we were financing travel costs to attend the national trainings. For the activity 2, we financed the travel costs to move to the international and attend the international matchmaking events. And then the activity 3 was more concrete, not related to travel costs directly. So it was for funding the cost for certifications and the cost of also individual supports to guide SMEs towards their certification path. And as you can see in the slide, the total amount of the voucher, well, mainly for Italy, France, and Spain, was up to 7,000 if they were participating in all the 3 activities, and 6,000 if they didn't choose the certification activity. Next. Overall, as Alan also anticipated, we have managed to engage and sign financing agreements with 65 SMEs from France, Italy, and Spain mainly, and also some of them from the optional country Cyprus. And we have provided the support funding support to engage in all the 3 activities across the support schemes. On our website, I think it's interesting to highlight this. We have created a tourism SME beneficiary map. So there you can consult each of our 60 65 SMEs that we have engaged in the project, and within the map you can see a short description, and you can also be redirected to their website and contact details. And mainly who we financed SMEs, of course, in the tourism sector in different sub-sectors, as it was mentioned before. So mainly they were hotels and similar accommodations, holiday and short stay accommodations, as well as travel agencies. Next. Then going into more details a little bit, starting from activity 1, training, I just wanted to provide you with an overview on how we did this. So in each of the 4 countries of the project, we had to organize at least 4 training sessions. The overall approach was, let's say, rather common. So we started with an introduction to sustainable tourism. Then we entered into more details on the concept of sustainable tourism policies and practices. And finally, in all the countries, we also wanted to focus a specific training session, at least one. In some cases, there were more on the environmental certifications. And I think this part was particularly interesting for SMEs. This is why, well, at the beginning we were foreseeing only one session, and in the end, since the interest was high, we decided also to add further training and peer learning actions specifically focused on environmental certification access. Next. The second activity, as I told you before, was the matchmaking. So what we have done, we have organized 6 matchmaking events in Spain, Italy, and France. And within these events, SMEs could really have a moment of networking and business-to-business collaboration in order to forge new collaborations. If possible, when possible, we have also organized these matchmaking events in conjunction with the big fairs and conferences. And this was the case, for instance, of Fitur in Madrid and Ecomondo in Rimini in Italy. At the same time, since the interest, I can say this, the interest from SMEs was high, and SMEs were very proactive. We also decided not only to focus on networking, just on networking during our matchmaking events, but we have also tried to complement these events with the practical workshops to foster peer learnings and share practices, as well as to organize study visits or practical case studies analysis. And I think this was particularly appreciated and successful in our case. And overall, I think that a good outcome to highlight is that over 60% of our involved SMEs at the end of their journey declared they were able to create and initiate new business partnerships thanks to the matchmaking events of our project. Next. And lastly, activity 3, just for you to have an overview. So this activity was optional, and if the SMEs were participating in it, they followed, let's say, they shaped their own environmental certification path with the support of our project partners, which have done an amazing work indeed, as well as by subcontracting individual support from consultants, from experts, or certification providers. At the same time, they received more specific training and practical support on access to environmental certifications. And one nice outcome that I wanted to highlight, and Alan anticipated me, has been indeed that 48 SMEs took part in this certification support scheme, and out of the 48, 26 SMEs achieved environmental certification by the end of the project, and some of those also achieved more than one. So this is a really good result that we could achieve towards the end of our project. Next. Well, in order to summarize, I will be brief. I think that based on our journey, we can draw a few conclusions. In terms of main achievements, I think that the project really could create a great group dynamic for peer learning and for knowledge, so knowledge exchange. At the same time, another good achievement from our point of view has been the richness of the content of the training, which was also complemented with more practical activities. So the exchange of good practices, the analysis of some case studies, and the peer learning workshops we have been doing. Another key achievement, of course, has been the creation of new synergies and new business connections, not only within the awarded SMEs, but also between our SMEs and external partners and external experts that we have involved in the training and matchmaking activities. And finally, I think that what we have proved is that really an effective capacity building and mentoring process helps SMEs to understand more about environmental certification, because it's a difficult and very long path. So, of course, if you are a small business, you need help in this sense also to guide you in order to build your strategy for certifications. Main challenges, well, of course, COVID has been quite tough, and I think the fact that we decided to extend our project, thanks also to Alan, really worked very, very well, because we managed to implement all the activities, almost all the activities physically, face-to-face. And another challenge, which is also a positive aspect, so it depends, is the diverse profile and level of expertise of SMEs. This is for sure enriching, because it's good to have participants with different levels in order to foster peer learning, but at the same time for training activities sometimes has been a challenge. Next. And if I have to summarize really a few recommendations for any kind of business support organization, local bodies that would like to replicate and adapt our approach towards supporting schemes, I think that I would mention these four main concept ideas. So first of all, really to be able to structure a capacity building path that entails both theoretical knowledge, so content, but also practical based activities, which was very, very interesting and very motivating for our companies. Then the second point would be always to foresee some kind of networking moment, networking opportunity, not only among the beneficiaries, but also to open these moments to external, even external tourism SMEs, as well as external stakeholders like business networks, experts, certification providers. At the same time, another point to consider is to maybe foresee specific training or specific actions of the program that are adapted and meet the different levels of knowledge and background of the involved SMEs. And finally, really, I think another point to consider is that the access to environmental certification by a small business is easier, always easier and faster if they are supported. So if this process is shared with other peers and as well as with other experts, and it's supported also by theoretical knowledge and ad hoc mentoring. Next. And my very last slide, I just wanted to mention to you additional project results that you can find on our website. So as Tiberio said, we have this nice interactive tool to consult actions to implement for enhanced sustainability. You can find also on our website the compendium of best practices. I think we will have also soon all the deliverable and reports regarding the support schemes. So what I have presented today, but in a longer version, if you want to check them. And we also give the main conclusions and lessons learned for replication. So if you want to also replicate the same approach. And you can also see through our social media, the international campaign promoting our SMEs, as well as very nice interviews and podcasts and testimonies of our SMEs, which could be also an inspiration for you. So that's it from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Beatrice. We are running a bit late, so I will try to compress the question we received from Elena Herrera in the chat, even if you already gave part of the answer to the key recommendation. So both to you, Beatrice, and Tiberio, really try to, in a slogan, what would be from tourism key learnings, our recommendation to share with you in general, maybe Cosme Agency in particular, to better promote awareness and uptake of environmental sustainability? Which were the most effective action? I don't know who wants to start.
Well, from my side, I mean, regarding also the experience of the support scheme that I have just presented, I think that the core point was the capacity building process, at the same time the networking with other peers from other countries. Many of our SMEs hadn't met any colleagues from other countries before our experience. So I think this is something very, very powerful. So capacity building, of course, at national level, but still having a contact from an international perspective to simply also to learn from other colleagues that are doing the same, but in another country, in another context.
I agree with Beatrice. I would add that it seems that companies still, after 15 years of speaking about sustainable tourism, don't feel the right recognition from the market regarding environmental certification or green commitment. So a policy recommendation will be try to increase. We know that sometimes there are a lot of certification that create confusion, misleading messages, and so on. But clearly, if the European Commission will increase the knowledge and the recognition, not only in single tourist, I'm thinking also to the business travel. For me, is quite surprising to interact with big companies that have strategy on everything, climate change strategy, sustainable industrial energy and renewable energy strategy, and so on. And when we start speaking about selection of supplier, again, they have green criteria for all suppliers, but speaking about what about the selection of accommodation, they say, we have never thought to select a green accommodation for our business travel. And regarding business travel, we have a project with Francesco and Ernest on sport. Let's take into account that sometimes big event of sport can move between among athletes, staff, and so on, 10 days, 400, 500 rooms in a certain city. And again, also in this field, not only in the industrial sector, also in the sports sector, is quite surprising that speaking with the International Federation, they say, oh, we have never thought to select a green hotel for our athletes and staff. So we have to increase not only in the tourist, but also in this kind of customer.
Thank you very much, Tiberio, also because this is really the perfect link to move on to the next speaker. So we will come with this 3 short round of categories of partners that worked with the tourism project. I would ask if possible now to shut down the cameras and to open up the cameras of the people I'm calling on. So we, even if we are not present there, we can kind of try to give the idea of a panel informal discussion. And Tiberio's link was perfect to move on to local authorities' perspective, especially because we are now talking about which is the efforts that local authorities are giving and want to give, and which are the lesson learned through tourism project about how to support visibility, recognition of sustainability in the tourism sector. So let's move on with our speakers from Regione Sardegna. I think Giorgia Farina is with us. I don't know if someone else joined us.
Francesco, yeah, it's me. Silvia, maybe it's now busy in another meeting, but I can deal it. Okay. So first, can I just spend some very quick word to bring to the audience the greetings and the appreciation.
And sorry, just let me apologize because the slide with Silvia is the old one, so it's Regione Autonomo della Sardegna also from the name.
Okay.
I took the wrong one, but
I saw Solan correcting it, so I don't know which evil creator put the wrong slide, but I saw Solan with my own eyes correcting the name under Silvia's name. So okay, can I go on, or do you want to change the slide?
No, please.
Okay, just a quick moment to, as I was saying, to bring you the greetings and appreciation from our counselor, Adalai, our counselor at the Training, Cooperation and Social Security Ministry of Autonomous Region of Sardinia. She wanted to assist this meeting, but unfortunately, due to a previous commitment, she couldn't. But she was very enthusiastic with the project, and I just communicating this thought to you. Okay. I think we have a first question to answer, which is how tourism contribute to the region policy for sustainable tourism development. For answering this question, we should of course start from our regional strategy for sustainable tourism, which is called Sardinia 2030, that was adopted in October 2021, and that basically take as reference the UN Agenda of 2030. Tourism is in fact an action that responds to the integrated vision of the dimension of development embraced by the strategies, which is not only a vision of economic growth, but is also a vision of environmental protection and human and social right protection. Our strategy focuses on 5 main topics, strategic topics, I will say, to make the region of Sardinia smarter, greener, more connected, more social, and closer to its citizens. These themes are quite matched by tourism project, because with its concrete action, such as intervening on sustainability of tourism services by enhancing the skills of operator and raising the awareness of visitors, we saw that this action clearly match the fact that we are match the theme 1, make Sardinia more smarter. The second action that really matches with our strategy is the creation of business network. Thanks to this action, in fact, tourism promote a sustainable tourism for socioeconomic development and protection of culture and biodiversity, which is also a strategic theme of our strategy. And finally, with the action of supporting the achievement of certification of quality and sustainable tourism, tourism also develop idea of tourism which is in line with another theme of our strategy, which is Sardinia more greener. Going to the second question, how to continue supporting tourism SMEs after the end of the project. To answer this question, I must admit that I took directly the feedback from our SMEs that participated to the tourism project, because at the end is their perception, the one that counts. And on the basis of that, of course, we should promote the certification, continue to provide support for environmental certification. It is a key to make tourism businesses more sustainable. But not only that, from our specific point of view, which is the one of a public entity involved, devoted to training and especially professional training, we cannot take into account what the SMEs told us, that is that tourism has demonstrated that training and information on good sustainability practices can really improve the quality of tourism supply and really can contribute to the 2030 strategy. Moreover, this great understanding from the part of those that are providing the services in tourism also increase the awareness of consumers. The last point, but not least, is the network and partnership. We should focus more on network and partnership because, as Beatrice was saying before, many of our SMEs didn't have the chance before tourism to take contact with other business providers similar to them, but in other area of Europe, and similar to them according to the vision of their business. So this is another point that our SMEs really point out when asking them how tourism can go on, how the legacy of tourism can go on. And I mean, that is, I think, our point of view according to this second question.
Thank you very much, Giorgia. That was pretty synthetic in time, clear, and it really gives the idea about how the regional administration shared the perspective, the approach, and how they wanted to be engaged into this project. Just keep being online with us because we are now moving to other organizations' perspective, and maybe after this second round of discussion, we can have time for one common follow-up question. So let me to represent what we call the business networks. They are both directly or indirectly tourist project partners. I would like to come Ivana Russiello from Sistemi Formativi Confindustria and Pilar Guerra from Enterprise Europe Network Canarias. The structure of these mini panels is a bit the same. We are asking something about the past and the present and something for the future. So what to do, what are the lessons learned, and how to move on from tourism activities and lessons learned. So Ivana, I don't know if you are online, if you can hear us. You sent us a couple of slides. I can move on with those as a support for the... We can't hear you.
No?
Yes.
Okay. So perfect. Yeah. So okay, thank you, Francesco. This is a slide that's just to introduce and support my consideration, very general consideration. But I think that during the COVID, we experienced this kind of a suspension, no, a kind of interruption of many activities, and of course the resumption of those activities could only be imagined by applying a sustainable perspective, and as has been and is happening for all economic sectors. And in December 2020, you can see here, I just reported the title of the OECD, just one organization among a lot of organizations that supported us in giving inputs and some kind of highlights to help us in interpret the future in that period was very difficult, and still today, okay? But this title, in some way, we consider this very interesting because if you read this, the subtitle is it's written that rebuilding tourism is a priority, but the sector must become more sustainable and resilient in the future. We see that in that word "but," it means that the renovation, the innovation of the tourism sector was already thought by the politicians, by the stakeholders, and so on. So let me say that tourism was just an accelerator, a project that accelerated this shift into an innovative perspective, given the fact that, of course, the tourism is an essential component of the European economy, and because of the 10% of its GDP, which is why the European Union is committed to revitalizing this sector. It's important for entrepreneurs, for tourists, but of course also for the economies. So I think that sustainability and the post-COVID situation for the tourist sector is not only a trend, and you can find another input from the McKinsey research, and then you can also have a look using the link, and the McKinsey give us the input to consider the tourism sector, not only the sustainability in the tourism sector, not only a trend to attract more customers, but first and foremost, it is a must in order to innovate and adapt the system, the designing, implementing, and managing tourist services in line with the environmental sustainability requirements. So in line also with the local community's needs. And so we think that the awareness of the impacts of tourism on the local community is also increasingly developed. And the tourist project has been an accelerator of this innovation. So really, in short, I say yes, sustainability is one of the factors of the evolution of the tourism, and the tourist project really has been an accelerator of this innovation. And I think that's all.
Thank you very much, Ivana. You just added the third metaphor or keyword of the day. So we started with sustainability as a journey. With Tiberio and Beatrice, we highlighted how sustainability is a commitment, somehow also a personal and individual commitment of from SMEs, and now we have also sustainability as a must. So that's another interesting and complementary perspective. And Pilar, I don't know if you want to start from there, or if you have something to add about starting from the same question.
Okay, well, I don't have any presentation, but well, in any case, I will be very briefly. Well, indeed, the crisis has changed us all, and consequently, most companies. The project was written before the COVID crisis, so it was a help and a boost for companies when opening their businesses, showing them how the adoption of a new business approach, where sustainability is a priority, will mean cost saving in the medium and long term, making them more competitive in the market, as well as creating an offer for a new type of customer who is more aware and seeks a destination where not only the environment, but also the social and cultural heritage is taken care of. During the COVID crisis, with the total shutdown of tourist activity, we realized what zero impact on the environment means, how some spaces deteriorated by mass tourism were recovered, and all of this has made companies aware of the need and importance of changing business models so that they last over time in a more sustainable way. And for the second question, yes, we are planning other instruments. The tourist project has been a great experience for us, not only because of the knowledge we have acquired, but also because of the experience with the project partner are the participating SMEs from the Technological Institute of the Canary Islands, where we work supporting SMEs. We have been able to specialize in sustainability, and as it is a cross-cutting issue, we can implement it in SMEs from other sectors. During the process, we have been able to identify the good practices of tourist SMEs, their growth potential, and to better understand their needs, which allow us to adapt our services. After the end of the project, we plan to continue supporting SMEs through the service of the Enterprise Europe Network, the largest support network for SMEs with international ambitions. The tourist project has allowed us to design and implement a tool that helps companies on their way to sustainability through learning workshops, study visits, and matchmaking. We have already shared with colleagues in the Enterprise Euro Network, in particular with the tourist sustainability working groups, and which has been highly appreciated. This is why the tourist project has helped us to push other companies on the path of sustainability that makes them more competitive, not only in the national market, but also allows them to make the leap to other European markets. For example, this year we have made the tourist activity coincide with the Fitur Fair, the largest international fair in Spain, where company has been able to participate in workshops and visit on good practices, as well as having the opportunity to organize bilateral meetings at Fitur. And so, yes, we think we are going to continue with the knowledge of tourists, of course. So thank you, Francesco.
Thank you, Pilar. You just pointed out how working on sustainability wasn't a journey or a learning process only for the SMEs participating on the project. It was somehow also a learning process for other partners working on the tourist project, and even for development agencies or enterprise network. It's not a very consolidated topic, so there's still a path to be walked, and it is interesting to look also at how this kind of project they move on commitment, they raise commitment from development agencies and business representatives to work on the topic. Is this valid for the Confindustria system, the Italian Mayor Employers Association, Ivana?
Sorry, but I have an issues with the microphone and so on. Okay. Yes, in some way, yes. This is the slide we presented just to say that, of course, tourism also allowed Sistemi Formativi Confindustria to identify and better design, together with the university, with Consortium Europe and all the partners, which business services for tourist companies demanded after the COVID-19 to accelerate their innovation. But we, of course, need to look ahead and try to interpret further drives for innovation development in tourism. So we think that, of course, these, I think, 10 topics are just a few of the next drivers that we are following in such way. Of course, we are a training center of Confindustria, so we are more interested and prepared to design and deliver services, business services for circular economy practices, education and awareness. But we think that altogether these 10, a kind of selection of 10 drivers, should be really observed and considered all together when defining a circular economy practices and education awareness program and so on. At the same time, we can say that the regulatory framework is changing, and we observe, of course, an incredible increase of production of directives, law and rules pushing economic systems to apply circular economy principles. So in this way, we have identified these 10 areas of intervention. And of course, if we should give priorities and hard work to give priorities on one or the other of these 10, we say that for the future, we are planning services that can support companies in a very wide orientation on which drives can give them the opportunity to improve sustainability, to improve the, let me say, the competitive access for a global market. And that's all.
Thank you very much, Ivana. We are running a bit late, a bit more than a bit late on the agenda, so I would, if you agree, give me an overall feedback on the chat. I would propose as following, to give you 3 minutes to stretch your legs, grab a coffee or re-energize a bit, to start again at 12 o'clock here, and to split the remaining hour, half an hour, with the key targets, the key protagonists of this conference, that are tourism SMEs and 3 sister projects that are sharing with us their experience. So if there are no objections, I would propose you to see you here in 3 minutes, no more than that, just stretching your legs. I know we will need another minute to be back online. I see some, but I start to make my voice be heard, so people start coming back at their screens. Thank you very much. I see you're all back in time with a super compressed coffee break. And so let's move on. I don't know if can you still see my screen? Okay. So let's move on to the real protagonist of the tourism project. So we talked until now about what was the impact of on sustainable tourism and on tourism SMEs from different perspective and different partners and voices. So now it's time to finally hear directly targets, beneficiaries, partners after 3 years of work together of this experience. So let me call Clément Goujon, Giacinto Marchionna, Marta Templado, e Irina Bocolan. Are you with us?
Yes.
Let me check
Yes.
again.
Yes.
Yes, I see some of you in the... Okay, I see Giacinto, Marta, perfect. So the structure of this third short panel is having a bit the same structure as the two previous ones. So we wanted to look and hear from you which were the key achievements you reached thanks to the tourism project, or during the tourism project, because most of you, we highlighted how much commitment and individuals' commitment somehow was one of the key relevant issues that led you to join this project. So tourism project was probably for some of you a chance to focus more on something that you were already doing. But please, let's start hearing your voice with about this first question. I would maybe start with Marta, because she sent us a written contribution that will support her answer.
Okay, thank you very much to all of you. First of all, I would like to know, I would like to say that we are GMC travel agency, and we work on cultural tourism as an incoming agency. So in these two questions, first of all, I would like to say it has allowed me to better understand the importance and what sustainability really is in the field of tourism sector. Because we, first of all, we start this project thinking of just to start to learn about sustainability, and that's why we didn't start with the certification. We didn't want to do the certification during the project, because we thought that we haven't got enough knowledge to do it. Then I have met very interesting companies, professionals, and destinations from which I have learned good sustainability practice. I share with other colleagues that one of the main important things for us was the meeting and the networking through us. So that's why we have done business collaborations thanks of this project. With work tourism, we are working with Nicoleta now. With Aloha, we have done a secret concert in her apartments with a group. We are also working with Genuine Spain, because they are very expert as a travel agency. They work since a long time with this kind of travels. And that now we are also working with Gino, with Matera. because we are working on gemelaccio fra due cori, and now we are working on this travel. So for us, we need to thank to all of this. And the second question is the other. Thank you very much. Is how will you continue to make effort to improve sustainability and environment performance? We continue improving our services by implementing changes in the company, in the design of the tours, and in the selection of new providers. Now we are working on 2 certifications. We choose one international as Travel Life, and another more national, because we think that the S of Sostenibilidad Turística, the ELICTE, this is the el Instituto de Calidad Turística de España, is a certification important for us because we are working also with our others enterprise, no? Anche small enterprises, no? So for us, it's very important for looking for new providers. So I'm working together, and Travel Life is more a view for a global view, no, about sustainability. So this is our experience, and thank you very much. I think it's the last. So,
thank you very much, Marta. So we very well noted the key points on networking and the different role of the certification. And maybe Giacinto Marchionna from Turismore, you were mentioned by Marta as one of the network partners thanks to the Tourism project. So up to you to take the floor on the triggering questions.
Thank you very much.
Giacinto, can you? Yes. Hello, Giacinto. No, I don't know if you can hear us. Okay, no worries. Let's take a couple of minutes, and so let's move maybe to Clément while Giacinto.
Yes, thank you. I can. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Is that okay? Well. Yes. So I'm Clement. Come from Japan Experience Company. So we are European company based in tourism in Japan. So our goal is to sell products to all inbound Western customers who are going to Japan. Regarding sustainability, we didn't do much in the past. We had a lot of ambitions when the project started, especially regarding certification. But what happened is that we realized that it was really time consuming to organize everything, and our customers, they don't really expect something from us. They know that it's a long run journey going to Japan, that they will emit a lot of carbon just with flights, so they don't really expect. So we decided finally to lower a bit our ambitions and not doing any certification, and so we face with reality, and to start small and then grow little by little. So we are starting on those days in June by starting to offset our bestseller product, which is Japan Rail Pass. So we are launching the carbon-free project, and every buyer, every customer who buys the Japan Rail Pass will be able to offset his journey with that new option. And to offset, we have a partnership with a tree planter located in Japan, obviously. And so we will start like that. Next step would be to expand. Our expansion can be twofold. The first one would be the products to offset. So not only the Japan Rail Patch, which is this pass which enables you to travel unlimited during 7, 14, or 21 days on the Japan Rail network. So it can be other products like we are selling house rentals or other transportation or airport transfer, all those stuff. So to be able to first to assess how much carbon those products emit, to be able to offset. And then the second expansion would be the project to be able to offset those carbon emission. So we started with the tree planters, but we have connections to come with the coral planter. I don't know if I can say that, but yeah, under the sea in Japan too, or like the bees project, to be able for them to live their life in the nature. And then we would like to start to have a selection of green hotels, but it's not really expanding in Japan. Japan is far ahead of Europe regarding all sustainability. So that's it for me. Thank you for listening.
Hello?
Thank you very much, Clément. Yes,
Can you
Gino,
hear?
you are with
Okay,
us.
sorry. I had some problem with my microphone. So hello, and sorry for this problem. And so I'm from Matera, Basilicata, Italy, south of Italy, and I'm the founder of Tourismore. It's very different kind of company in comparison with travel agencies, hotels, accommodation in general. I'm founder of Tourismore. Is a small company specialized in revenue management and sales and marketing for hotel. So why I did the application for tourism project? Because I would like to learn about circular economy, and I did a lot of activities. So in Rome, so training activities, matchmaking activities with Marta. Of course, we have a very small project. So I met Marta in Madrid and in Matera too. So I'm very happy to improve my relations with the people and with the company of this project. And first of all, my goal was just to learn more about this approach to tourism. And when I finished so training activities and matchmaking activities, I decided to achieve the certification ISO. But my company is very small, so in my company it's not very useful to adopt this approach. So I decided to get the certification to influence hotels and tourist destinations to adopt a circular economy approach. So now, for example, there is one more project, a European project. The name is Trace, and so I invited my hotels clients to do the application to this project, and I have to influence them to have this approach with the sustainable activities. And so I have just to tell thanks to all the organization of the tourism project, and that's all. So I'm very happy to did this participation. Thanks.
Thanks to you, Gino. It's very nice to hear that not only participants as me, they worked on certification and environmental performance, but as Alan Vella mentioned at the beginning, they really acted as seeds to spread the voice around and engage further stakeholders.
Thank you very much.
Irina, can you hear us?
Yes, hello everyone. First of all, I would like to thank all the stakeholders of this program, because I think it's a big opportunity and a chance for everyone to share and to learn information, to learn and to share information with professionals from different European countries. So we don't have this kind of chance every day. So thank you very much. When we decided to involve our company in the sustainable development, we felt a bit lost from where to start, which label to choose, because there are so many on the market. So be part of the tourism program helped us a lot to see more clearly how to organize our actions and which label suits better the hospitality industry. So after more than a year of hard work, we could be labelized Green Key last year. So everyone was so happy, because during the COVID, it was very complicated, as you know, for every hotel, for everyone, for every industry. So this period gave us the opportunity to think and to try to change everything we do on a daily basis, and also in general in our lives. So we now that we have a Green Key, we don't think it's finished, because as Michel said at the beginning, it's a big sustainable journey that we started, and that's why we have already an action plan for the next 2 years, and we are working on different points in order to lower our carbon balance. So because we saw that we have a very, very big impact. The tourism has the biggest impact on the carbon balance in the world. So we have a lot to do on this side. Also, since the beginning of the year, I became part of a sustainable committee for French Hotel Union in order to help other hoteliers embark on a sustainable development approach. And I discovered that everyone is talking about sustainable tourism, but a lot of hotels didn't start to engage on that, because as we had the same situation for us, it's not easy when we start from zero. We know that we have to take care of our water consumption, of energy and everything, but when we don't have someone that can help us to give us an action plan, it's not easy. So I would like to say again and again thank you to this program, and I think we need more program like this if you want to help our industry to move on this point. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Irina. We didn't mention the structure you represent, which is Hotel Duo in Paris. Yes. And you really raised up to one of the perceptions that we had also among project partners. So starting from zero is probably the hardest effort, the toughest effort. We had a perception that really the nice results we get through your efforts and the tourism project were also due to the fact that most part, not all of them, of course, of the engaged SMEs were not starting from zero. We're starting from a high degree of commitment, previous practices, And so it's really thanks to you that we managed to reach relevant results to this project. Just in one slogan from the four of you, please try to keep it as really one slogan. This project now is over. It was a nice supporting scheme with European funded resources. Should you think about which are the key priorities to keep on with external resources and support to SMEs and network of SMEs, what would you call for? Who wants to start? Let me try to call you. Maybe Marta, you want to?
I don't know. It's very difficult to say, but perhaps networking is the best way for improve sustainability.
Thank you.
Perhaps because we are very different, as Gino has told us. There are very different kind of partners in tourism. We have hotels, with apartments, also travel agency, touristic guides. As Pilar is one of the partners of this project. She certificate in by biosphere, I think that she has done it this, and is very, very different. So perhaps to know how is sometimes it's easier sharing with others. I don't know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Gino.
Yes, Francesco. So in the future, so now, for example, I would like to continue to make something for companies, my clients, so hotels, properties, and in general, and in specific, I would like to support tourism companies to prepare, for example, for application for sustainability and environmental certification, for example, or support the companies to develop sustainable strategies and implementing, for example, the improvement measures following the recommendation of circular economy. And so supporting my clients, so hotels, properties, to adopt sustainable activities for their business.
Thank you very much. Lemont or Irina?
Well, I can follow if you don't mind. I have the feeling that during COVID time, a lot of people was thinking about sustainability. And now that we are in the travel revenge time, what we are experiencing now, the people they are more careless about sustainability in our business. That's my feeling. But we don't have to forget that in the coming years, maybe another bad event pops up like COVID did, and maybe we will be forced to move to a more sustainable world. So to come to a conclusion, I would say we don't have to forget about actions regarding sustainability, even if now our customers are not expecting that.
Thank you very much. Irina.
Yes, I agree with Clément. We see that our guests forget about all this period when it was very hard, we could not travel. And for example, in our hotel, as we did, we changed our system for the water consumption, so it cannot have a shower of a lot of water. Some ones are not happy with that, and when we try to explain why we do that, why we have to take care of our energy and water consumption and so on, they understand. So that's why it's a everyday work to give the right information to everyone. And also, as I said, when I started to work with French Union of Hotels, we saw that the people don't know how to start that, how to engage everyone, how to engage the teams, because also it's a hard work to do that. We need time, we need money to invest if you want to go through. So I think also we have to communicate more about the sustainability, about engagement, and also it has to become a very important part in the political, how you say, because on the political side they just say we have to do that, but they don't try to show us the right way to do, and to maybe to have the help we need to do that. I think I hope I'm clear.
Clear and straightforward, Irina. Thank you very much. So let's move to, thank you very much to the four of you and to all tourism participating SMEs. And let's move to the last but not least part of the this conference, which is really aimed at looking towards, looking to the future and on opening doors for further networks and cooperation opportunities. We are very happy to have with us representatives of the three tourism sister projects funded under the COSME goals that were mentioned by Alan Vell at the beginning. So I can give the floor now, I think, to Marika directly. Can you hear us? Thank you for the three of you to resisting until 12:30 with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Francesco. Can I share my screen?
You can share your screen, or I can move your slides as you prefer.
I prefer to share my screen if possible.
Okay.
Thank you. Good. So here we are. Wonderful. I hope that you can see my screen. Just to check, please.
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. Good. So my name is Marika Mazzi-Bohem, and I'm introducing you the EU Eco-Tandem project. And the payoff of our project is scouting innovation for a more sustainable tourism industry. A little bit about me. I'm the Innovation Strategy Director at X23, and of course, project coordinator. And I'm also providing you a couple of words about X23, which is a private research center and a business support organization. So the consortium that implemented the project, which is a 36 months one. So we are actually, and I realized just a few minutes ago that we are just in the last month towards the end of this wonderful, amazing, and challenging project. So the consortium partners are X23, which is my organization, with the role of coordinator. Then we have another Italian partner, Social Fare, in Turin. And then we have the Italian National Tourism Board. Then we have SBA, which is the National Slovakian Agency, Innovation Agency and Business Agency. Then we have two partners from Germany, ITCAM, the Italian Chamber of Commerce in Italy, in Germany, of course, and the HHL, which is the High Leipzig Graduate School of
Sorry, Marika, can you check if the microphone is, maybe you can have it more near to your mouth or something, because
you don't hear me well?
Seems we can't hear you very well, or at least I can hear you, but I'm seeing messages on the chat that.
Okay, so perhaps if possible, can I leave the floor to the other project so that I can solve this tech issue?
Yes.
Because I'm not 100% sure that I can do in a minute.
Okay, so let's try to reverse order and
If
to leave you
possible.
5 minutes to. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So from maybe we can move on with the Sustur project. Who?
Yes, I'm happy to jump
Hello.
in. Hi, I'm
Yes,
Laura.
please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm the project coordinator. No worries. I will share my screen as well. Let me just do that. Okay. So thank you for the invitation, first of all. I'm the project coordinator of the Sustor project, and I will give you a brief overview of the project now and our preliminary outcomes, because we're very much still in the final phase and wrapping up the project in September. So the goal of the Sustor project is promoting sustainability among the European tour operator sector. So it's really through a business-led approach, supporting tour operators and travel agents to become more sustainable. And the project is running from September 2020 to September 2023. So we started in COVID, and it had a big impact as well on the project. But we are still very happy with the results that we're achieving anyways. And the consortium of the project is made up of non-profit organizations like the European Center for Eco and Agrotourism in the Netherlands and Futures from Germany. Then we have the European Umbrella Association of Tour Operator and Travel Associations in Europe. This is ECTA. And we have the national tour operator associations from the Netherlands, from Croatia, Finland, and Portugal on board as the consortium. So some of the key activities are twofold, actually, of the Sustor project. On the one hand, the beginning of the project was very much focused on developing sustainability standards, updating sustainability standards, and developing new tools for tour operators and travel agents to make sustainability implementation more easy and more straightforward. So some of these tools include, for example, a plastic management toolkit and training that was developed, as well as a carbon management criteria report, and also training on this, an update on the carbon calculator of Karmacal, to calculate the carbon footprint of travel packages of tour operators. And there were also codes of conduct developed for excursion providers and for customers that tour operators could work with in order to encourage their supply chain to become more sustainable. And then as well, an accommodation self-assessment tool, again, looking at the supply chain and supporting suppliers. Because the focus was on tour operators and travel agents, seeing them as multipliers and as really important actors in the value chain of tourism, of course, and spreading the word to so many different suppliers and types of businesses. And then the second part of the project was the SME support program. So this is focused on supporting European SMEs, tour operators and travel agents, towards improving their sustainability performance and implementing all these new developed and updated tools. And the tour operators could choose between different support modules. So some chose the first one they could choose was Travel Life certification. So if they really wanted to go for the full set of sustainability criteria and get support in improving in all aspects that are relevant for a certification. There are two different levels of Travel Life certification, so companies could choose their goal if they wanted to achieve their first level of recognition or the full certification, and then depending on this, get the intensity of the support for this. In terms of coaching and training and this kind of mentoring, basically. And then there were 4 more support modules that were really focused, or accelerator modules, we called them, that were really focused on specific topics. So diving into the topic of supply chain management and really helping your supply chain to become more sustainable. carbon management, plastic management, and then also the shore excursion certification. So this program was really focused on shore excursion providers to really look at their products, at their tours that they are selling, for example, to cruise lines, and making the shore excursions as sustainable as possible. And the support offered to the SMEs was taking place through different forms of training, in-house training, a lot also online due to travel restrictions and due to the number of companies. I will come to that in a minute. Then the companies have individual coaches that really accompany them through the whole process, through the journey of becoming more sustainable. And the third-party certification is included in the project, as well as peer-to-peer exchanges and learning opportunities, which we organized, for example, during ITB or during other trade fairs, as you can see here in the images as well. One was in Finland and one was in Germany at ITB. And some of the key results was that in the beginning of the project, we could get support of 29 European travel associations. So this includes the consortium partners, but also more European travel associations. And that really helped in disseminating the and promoting the support program that we wanted to spread as far as possible across Europe. And we succeeded in selecting over 600 SMEs. The initial target was 175, but the interest was really large by the SMEs to get this support to become more sustainable. So the project, the SME program, was a bit in the frame that was possible, was a bit restructured. Few things that would have been taking place in person were changed to online, which was also favored by the companies. So through these adaptations and through the tools that were easily scalable, it was possible for us to take on board many more companies and support them towards their goals. Then we are counting the piloting of these new tools really as one of the key results of the projects. So in terms of plastic carbon management, excursion management, and also supplier management, these are really handy and practical tools that the companies are working with that are later available for the entire industry, of course. And the companies participating in SUSTOR are really piloting and spearheading this development. And the numbers is naming some numbers and some achievements of the companies is still difficult because we're in the process of wrapping this up and having the companies achieve their goals that they were set out to achieve in SUSTOR. But so far, we have already reached 107 TravelLife partners, so companies that have achieved this first sustainability recognition, and 11 companies that got certified through the project. And this is very much ongoing, and the number is increasing, is going to increase until the end of the project in September. So coming to some of the lessons learned that we gathered from this project, the first one is really that we could see that there's such a strong interest among SMEs to become more sustainable. We had over 800 applications, and even taking on 600 really speaks for itself that the companies are really eager to get support and to become more sustainable. But this also comes with a challenge because the SMEs really, especially after COVID, I think we all made the same experience there, they really have limited resources to invest. So in terms of time and staff that they are really short on, it was difficult sometimes to really get the commitment of resources from the companies to follow through with the process. So we are seeing that for the companies, it's really the beginning of a longer journey, and we're taking them as far as we can with this project, but they will continue on with this. And every tool, every practical tool or a toolkit that was developed really simplifies this project, this process for the companies, and was also like highly welcomed from the companies. And we saw and got the feedback from the SMEs that it's really needed and that they really want to be accompanied through this, even though a lot can be used by themselves. So tools are meant to be used by the companies, but really this coaching element and this mentoring element is really not to overlook in this, because it is really important for the companies to get this support. And then finally, the travel sector associations were really a key success factor for the success of bringing on so many companies and making such a big impact with helping all these companies. So this is also one of the recommendations to really work with these sector associations. And that brings me to our key recommendations. In general, we would, of course, say that further support is needed to make the travel industry more sustainable. And because the majority of tour operators and travel agents, the sector that we were looking at with SUSTOR, most of them are SMEs, and it's really challenging for them. So support is definitely needed. And this comes along with, of course, the increasing sustainability requirements. So the Green Claims Initiative to avoid greenwashing, as well as any due diligence legislation or sustainability reporting. This can go hand in hand with further support to be offered to the SMEs. And then we would also say that it's really not necessary to reinvent the wheels. So instead of developing a new certification or a new management system for the companies, we found it really helpful to work with existing networks, but also standards, update them, work with certification bodies, and thereby also increase the longevity of the efforts of the project. So avoiding any duplications, avoiding also any confusion. We were often asked in the beginning of the project if SUSTOR was a new certification. So there was necessity to explain, really, no, this SUSTOR is the support that you're getting. So we would recommend to improve and upgrade existing standards and tools, and thereby also already paving the way for the continuity of the project afterwards, of any future project schemes or support schemes. Then one more recommendation, and one really crucial thing that is needed that we saw, is the visibility of sustainable or certified travel products and companies. Because this is often one of the most important feedbacks from tour operators, specifically, how to find these certified or sustainable partners to work with, since tour operators are so much dependent, of course, on their supply chain to make their product as sustainable as possible. So increasing the visibility of sustainable offers is really a good recommendation for future support programs. And then, as I mentioned before, it was a big success factor to work with the travel associations and use them as multipliers for the message and for bringing on companies and for spreading the great support opportunities to the companies. And this is all I wanted to share about the SUSTOR project. I'm happy to answer any questions later as well.
Of course, we will have at least the minimum. It will be a call to action from you to the and the other projects, to the SMEs that are mostly pertaining to this project that are present at this conference. So, Marika, I don't know if you're back with us. Can we try again?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Oh, far better.
Well, okay. Thank you very much, Laura, for taking over and for sorting this out. I'm trying to share my screen right now. Let's see if it's working. And I will be starting all over again. Okay, just a thumb up if everything is okay. Good. So I'm assuming that the presentation is there, and starting back all over again. So introducing you the EU Ecotandem project, scouting innovation for a more sustainable industry. So my name is Marika Matsi-Boem. I'm the Innovation Strategy Director at X23, and of course the project coordinator at the EU Eco Tandem. Just introducing briefly the consortium partners of this 36 months project, and I realized just a few minutes ago that we are just 1 month ahead of the conclusion of this challenging project. So we have 3 partners from Italy, X23, a private research center and a business support organization, my organization, of course, and then Social Fare in Turin and the Italian National Tourism Board. Then we have a partner from Slovakia, the Slovakian Business Agency, 2 partners from Germany, the Italian Chamber of Commerce in Germany, and the Leipzig Graduate School of Management, the University of Graz, and Green Evolution. So what is about this project? So as I mentioned, the payoff of the project is scouting innovation for a more sustainable tourism industry. So in a couple of words, in 2, let's say, phrase, what we did is to try to boost the capacity building of SMEs, of the tourism SMEs, and to accelerate the innovation through a tandem program, which entails a comprehensive education and training program on one side, and a series of matchmaking events, which I see were kind of common framework in all the other projects to enable innovation in our case. The scope, in fact, was to encourage the cooperation between SMEs and innovators, creating a tandem, so a cooperation 1-to-1, for solving the sustainability issues in the tourism value chain. So here is a sneak peek about what we did, in particular at the core of the project with the matchmaking events and the tandem agreements. So essentially, we implemented this in 3 countries, in Italy, in Germany, and Slovakia. We had 3 matchmaking events, combining together and matching together 30 traditional SMEs on one side and startups or innovator on the other side. And then we arrived to achieve 30 tandems, so creating this, 1-to-1 cooperation framework between the 2 companies, so 1 startup or innovator on one side and 1 SME. And on the other side, at the end, we achieved to consolidate 30 tandem agreements, and of course, the voucher, the micro voucher, assigned to each of the tandem or to each of the tourism company. So what were our target audiences? The direct one, of course, was pretty much on tourist SMEs and innovative startups or innovative SMEs and innovators, because in the creation of the tandems, it was very important to have 1 tourism SMEs on one side and 1 innovator on the other, in order to have not only the knowledge transfer, but also the technology transfer to facilitate the transition, the green transition of tourism SMEs. Then, of course, considering that we pretty much were kind of a ground play of the first, framework of this kind of cascade funding for addressing tourist SMEs, we had a few restraints and constraints in relation to specific traditional tourism SMEs to be involved and to be eligible. So we had this NACE code we had to respect. So all in all, we had to involve hotels and similar accommodation, holiday and other short stay accommodation, camping grounds, recreational vehicle parks and trailer parks, and travel agency on tour operators. What we did at the very beginning of the project was the capacity building programs that we called the EU Eco Tandem Academy. Essentially, we had 2 different pillars. The first one was more educational, so theoretical knowledge. So we design and deliver a transnational educational program on sustainable tourism management and circular economy through seminars and workshops. And as a second step, a more specific SMEs-oriented training. So a transnational training focused on industry-specific skills improvement, which were around standards for sustainability in travel and tourism, targeting, of course, SMEs and startups. Then we have the second part, the core part, I would say, of the project, matching innovations. We have the call for application to the program. We have the phase of relation building and matching, and then, of course, the execution. So the matchmaking events where the tandems were created. The eco tandem challenges, we had 5 of them, which we collected during the program, dealing with, for instance, water management, waste management, mobility, energy saving, and COVID-19 resilience. Then the tandem had to elaborate their plan of actions, and out of the best plan of action submitted so far, we selected the winners. So what we did, we start, networking with the most important startup ecosystem and innovator ecosystem in Europe. Of course, the networking with them was pretty much important. So startup ecosystem and BSO. Then we have the networking with the most relevant EU startup ecosystem. For instance, you can see a few of them here, a few initiatives that we were partaking with. So, for instance, the Shield Stack, or the European Climate Pact, or Amazon Web System, and so forth. Then, of course, we had to engage locally the ecosystem players. So, for instance, in Italy, we connected pretty much with the Italy startup ecosystem. And again, at local level, we networked with the most relevant local ecosystem players. So, for instance, Startup Turismo, Union Camere, Bergamo Sviluppo, all the third parties engaged to support us in reaching out the companies. Then we also used, and when I say we, I mean the partner consortium that were mostly involved in this phase by promoting this opportunity among our network, local network, and all our programs, and for instance, in our case, with our high growth program. So we try to facilitate the access to this opportunity to our supported startup and SMEs. And then again, we organized, and this was really particular useful, mini workshops with local partners, stakeholders, to increase the number of applications. It has to be mentioned that we started back in July 2020, so COVID situation was still over there, impacting our lives pretty much. So a lot of these mini workshops were celebrated initially online, and then we moved on a very physical and in-present celebration. Then again, what was really important is the way that we curated the deal flow to detect possible non-eligible applications. It was kind of a very important process, and it was very useful to save time in the upcoming step. And we cross-checked, for instance, local level with an Italian partner for potential overlapping, because we were, of course, assigned different roster of companies, and what really important to understand if there were overlapping in order to avoid conflicts. And then again, we curated one-to-one interviews with all the selected companies to enable the best match possible post the selection process. Then we ensured that the tandem created was in a way kind of consolidated before the matchmaking event, always in the view to save time. And again, we assisted during the matchmaking event for the companies for the best tandem creation. And during the matchmaking event, what we also supported the company was the elaboration of their plans of action. The plan of actions essentially was the plan of what they were supposed to do during the use of funds. They were, of course, elaborating on the actions, what were their objectives, the expected results to be submitted then, and then evaluated and selected for the voucher assignment. What I think was really useful for us is to use a dedicated platform for receiving, evaluating, and selecting the applications, including the awarding and reporting. This was very useful because it allows us to create all the flow and to avoid conflicts or critical issues. And then again, we provided during the implementation phase a few free dedicated business support mini session. In our case, for instance, using the Legal Serious Place method and tools to help companies to unlock eco-sustainability potentials. And finally, and I think this also was pretty much useful, we provided the applicants with specific training session on the eligibility of costs and how to use the platform for minimizing the risk. So coming now to achievements and issues. So for the EU Ecotandem Academy, we had a very impressive success because we received more than 500 applications to attend the training program. And the issue, of course, was that we could not accommodate all the requests. And when it comes to the call for applications, we had roughly 220 applicants. And here you can see the country prevalence of the different applications dropping in. And of course, we have a few issues. The so-called NACE codes were one of the most relevant, and upcoming calls from the Commission decided to, of course, to decrease or to do or to stop the limit for these codes. Of course, the COVID and post-COVID situation, the tourism season peak, all of these kind of, issues that also Laura mentioned in her presentation just a few minutes ago. The selected applicant, so we had 41 tandems selected so far, and we achieved to reach our KPI, which was 60 tourism SMEs. And again, you can see the country distribution. And we managed to distribute 364,000 euro, 75% co-financed by the Commission. Again, a few critical issues here. Again, the tourism season peak, a few, limits from the SMEs perspective in terms of eligible cost, and a few difficulties in understanding the administrative and financial rules. But what worked very, very well in the program is number one, the tandem mechanism, so the capacity to create cross-border cooperation between different companies from different countries with having the same common challenge, the transnationality, the focus on the green solutions, the capacity to create and build on the European network, and the concrete approach of the program. So what's next? And I think that I am closing the presentation. So we will be launching an Academy Pro plan through the Moodle platform, considering the success of the registration for the Academy. We will try to integrate this experience of supporting program with the running business programs that each of the partners of the consortium are already running and carrying out. Then we are planning to create an atlas of the eco-sustainable experts and service providers and innovators to support the green transformation of tourism SMEs, so that they can rely on very trustful partner if they need to, to find solutions, innovative solutions, and so forth. Then we are also planning to create an eco-tandem matchmaking event on an annual basis to facilitate the match and the cooperation among the tourism SMEs and the innovators. And of course, to boost the tourism transition pathway awareness among the project stakeholders through a dedicated annual conference around eco-sustainable tourism. And that's all. Thank you very much. And if you have any information or questions, I'm happy to reply to them.
Thank you very much, Marika. Let's move to Sergio, so we close the carousel before going to conclusion. Sergio, can you hear us?
Yeah, perfectly. Yeah.
Thank you for staying with us until late. I think you can share your screen directly.
Yep.
Yes, it works. We can see your presentation. Please, floor is yours.
So thank you very much for the invitation, and congratulations for all the achievements that you've been working very hard to get. So it's very impressive when you see those final results. So I am Sergio Moreno. I am the director of the Sustainable Tourism Institute at the University of Las Palmas, Gran Canaria, and Emotour Lab. So you've been talking about the journey all the morning, right? And I totally agree. And I think the journey keeps going. So many SMEs have been working very hard on sustainability. So I think our project can be also a next step for some of those SMEs, as we are starting right now. We're actually launching the call very soon. So those companies can take part in this project, in Euro Emotur project. And actually, you were clearly addressing that some of the problems is that many SMEs, they need further support, and also about the visibility of all the actions. It can be the certificate, it can be all the achievements they've been working on. So how to make it more visible, and in other words, how to get some benefit out of those results, right? So this project, Euro Emotur, is, as you can see, it's not from the same year as the rest of the sister projects. We are actually launching the call very soon. So we are 6 partners working together. And the goal is to help the SMEs through the digital transition. So we are supporting actually 100 SMEs, and we will be finishing the project in 2025. So these are the partners. We have some associations such as ITOA, Nextur, and also some business support organizations as CISET or Haga Helia, or ourselves at the University of Las Palmas. And then we have a destination here in the Canary Islands where we are located. So the idea, we start with 3 pilot clusters, the Canary Islands, Veneto, and Finland. So 20 SMEs per cluster, that makes 60 plus 40 additional SMEs, making a total of 100 SMEs. And the idea is to keep growing. Even those SMEs that are not supported, financially supported, will be part of the hub. So the idea is to integrate all the SMEs into that hub. So the reason why we developed this project is that we think there is an opportunity to connect the technological service providers with the SMEs, but somehow they need in between a business support organization which can make the right diagnosis about the needs of the SMEs in terms of digitalization, and eventually translate the language to make that matchmaking profitable for the SMEs. So that's the idea of this project. And in order to do that, we use neuromarketing techniques. So what we use is those techniques to really understand the customer, the tourist, and connect or make easier the SMEs to connect directly with their customers. So that's the idea. So those are the techniques. We don't have time to explain them all, but you have the website address in the chat, so you can have a look at all the techniques and so on. But basically, we analyze emotions, we analyze attention, we analyze engagement, interest, and so on and so forth. Those are the main KPIs. So we select the SMEs, we conduct a diagnosis about the situation of the SMEs. It can be the websites, it can be also the promotional material that they work with, and so on. Then we actually conduct some analysis in our labs, and we provide a customized report with some specific tips about how to proceed. So imagine your SMEs is really keen on projecting that sustainability topic. So the analysis will be focused on that issue, and how can you engage? Are they, in other words, let's say the customer, the tourist is just surfing your website. Are they aware of your certification? Do they notice that? Do they see that? Do they pay attention? are you generating any engagement? It can be the certification, it can be your text, it can be the pictures you're using, it can be any particular challenge that you are keen on. And then we analyze the response of the customer, the tourist, and eventually we provide some tips, some recommendations. So then you have the funding to get in touch with some service providers and make the right steps to improve those issues that should be solved. And then we keep in that digital hub connecting all the service providers with the SMEs and the labs, making that transition role in between, and eventually the future monitoring. So that's the project about. So the idea is to change the mindset. So it takes a while. So that's why we start with some training, coaching, as you have done as well. Then we conduct that particular analysis, so we can actually provide insights that are customized and valuable. Then we keep analyzing and using those techniques to see how the tourists, their target market, react to those stimuli. It can be the website, it can be any digital content. And then eventually we put them together with the BSOs and the service providers, so they can work together and keep evolving. Eventually, they can improve their communication, they can improve the customer experience, and finally, even develop new products or new business models. So that's the idea. So yeah, we conduct the same activities that you all have been mentioning before: training, best practices, matchmaking, and so on. So no need to emphasize the core of the project. And eventually, I want to talk a little bit about the call that is just about to be launched. So the SMEs that are working with you, even those that were not awarded, it would be great if you can pass on the information. We will be sharing the call, so those SMEs can keep going in that tourism transition pathway, now focusing a little bit more on digitalization and keep that evolution on their sustainability achievements. So in October, we will be ending the selection process, and we will be starting to work with the SMEs. They get direct funding up to 10,000 euros. It is open to basically any accommodation company and travel agencies and intermediaries. Then, as I was mentioning before, the idea is that they get those customized analysis, and they get also some specific tips and guidelines about how to proceed and how to not only to invest that fund, that money, but also how to engage with the service providers and what are the key issues they should be addressing when also investing their own funding. So that's all for us. Happy to be in touch, and looking forward to keep working together with all the sister projects and sharing experiences. I think it's great that we can share, all the toolkits that we've been developing. It can be related to sustainability, digitalization, or any other issues. But at the end of the day, for the SMEs, it's very important to have all those seminars, webinars, diagnosis, and so on and so forth, somehow together, because it's impossible that they get to know each project, So I think we have a challenge here to integrate all our work somehow, and make it easy for the SMEs to get access to that content. So that's a final word from me, and yeah, happy to share and to be in touch. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sergio. And while I'm checking if Beatrice is still with us for a conclusion, I think you really touched one of the key points, which is on the shoulders of partners that worked on sister project funded by Cosme Agency on Tourism, and not only, because one of the key issue is fragmentation of information, not only to access fundings, but also to access knowledge. So there's so much knowledge there about digitalization, about sustainability, but sometimes it's so fragmented that it's not easy to access us. And I really hope it will be an open call for all of us to find ways and resources to integrate that knowledge into accessible, user-friendly, and coordinated portals, online resources, and sources to understand where those information and events are. Not only on the COSME, but let's not forget to have the Interreg Euromed program with a specific with a specific thematic family on sustainable tourism, developing a huge quantity of useful knowledge for not only SMEs, but decision makers. Beatrice, are you still with us too?
Yes, yes, I am. I just wanted to ask if you have any very quick questions for the 3 projects. I noticed many questions on the launch of the call for Euroemo Tour. It will be launched soon, I understand, by early July, and there is one link in which you can get a notice for the call as well. Oh, if you check on the chat. And I don't know if anybody has further questions for the 3 projects. I think it was very interesting to see what others have done. Okay, so I think Francesco, we can wrap up. Just 11 minutes late. Thanks to all for the participation and the good interaction. I hope we have raised some key points, and as Michelle said at the beginning, we will continue our journey. Tourism will finish this week, but we have a few ideas to continue, and we will of course keep you in the loop. I think also Marika shared very nice ideas for sustainability, like the Atlas and the annual matchmaking event. This is something that we can continue to discuss and see if we can keep this collaboration ongoing for the projects that have finished, and then the ones that are still ongoing, like Sergio's one. From my side, it has been really a pleasure. It has been a longer journey, but very interesting, and it was very rewarding to see the connection and the knowledge created from the SMEs that we were able to engage. And I don't know, Francesca, if you want to say something else.
I think I already said enough this morning, yeah. So I would just want you to leave the last background slide with all the channels to keep being in touch with us. So stay. I hope you will be able to keep updated on our website, social media channels, and I hope you will find other good, effective ways to keep this alive networking active, and let's keep being seeds of sustainability. Thank you very much for your participation, and that's all by our side.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ciao.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you. Bye.
Grazie, thank you.
Gracias.
Bye.
Adiós. Gracias.